Any luck?
What?
Any luck with the next one?
Hold on.
Are you doing the next one or the?
Hold on.
No, it looks like you did something. Okay. Right. Yep, I think we're on the right path. Alright. Hey, my man.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Living the dream every day, all day. How the heck are you?
Good. Setting up for the big Clean Weight Expo thing that they're doing. Doing some training.
Awesome.
I think we just made some progress. Had to have Dave O'Brien fix some things. So. What are you doing?
Cool. Just loving life, living large.
Back on Team Blue?
Yes, sir. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Loving it. It's awesome. Feels like I was only gone for a couple weeks.
How long were you gone?
15 months.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, it was all good, but starting out, I was, we're gonna get you in here and get some design going, get you into programming. Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool, good. Not even like, hey, let's look and see what you got going on for a CAD experience or.
I gotta talk this guy. We'll catch you later. I'll be back at the end of the month for a couple days. I don't know. Alright, yeah. Yeah, we're good. Alright, so now that I'm in, what's the next? Okay, so the guy that's doing the presentation actually is not here today, so I can't really do much for that. But now that I know how to get on it, is it just gonna be as simple as going on and clicking the start streaming and have him set up? Okay. Is that key going to be the same, or are you gonna send a different one when it comes time? Right? Okay. Okay. Is there anything on our screen that we need to do as far as changing the scene or setting the scene up or like the backgrounds and stuff like that? It's gonna be him up here. I believe that he's gonna be tearing a pump apart and putting it back together and talking people through the steps, I believe is the process. So, I mean, we've got the camera up here, we can angle that, it's got the remote so you can pan and tilt and zoom and stuff. So he's probably gonna set it up on the table here and try to zoom in on a couple things, like when he's got different stuff to show, maybe more detail and stuff like that. I mean, but for the most part, it's just me, a guy standing here repairing a pump, pulling it apart, putting it back together. Okay. Alright, well, if there's anything else you guys wanna run through or try again, and I'll pull him up here when or sometime between now and the actual presentation and show him what we're doing, and I'll probably be on hand when the thing starts. Okay. Alright, thanks. Bye.
just don't know if he's seeing us or not. Anyways, till
Let's go to Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Richards,
and Tom McCormick.
and we're from CryptoPay here in the Mile High Studios. We're going to talk to you about our CryptoPay credit card system. We're going to talk about the quarter shortage, a need for cashless payments in the COVID area. So we're not touching things, and we're really excited to get rolling on this. So with that said, let me start off the presentation with a system video that really explains the CryptoPay system very well. Tom's going to cue that up for us here.
Okay, we're back.
Hey, we're back. I hope you're all having a good day, and I want to thank CleanRight for hosting this master training class. I want to thank you all for attending. And now we're going to go ahead and get into, even though that's still...
Yeah, we're gonna do the PowerPoint now, so we'll click on over to that. So, okay, we're ready for
Well, you all know that many of you already have CryptoPay, and we thank you for your support. And you all know that it's simple, secure, and cost-effective. And we're going to show you a little bit more and some new products we're going to add too. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Mr. McCormick.
Okay.
Okay, here's the presentation outline. You've all seen the video here, and next we're going to talk about an increased demand for cashless payments, brought on by a couple of things. One, the quarter shortage, and brought on by COVID. There's a need for clean payments. Then we're going to talk about what is contactless payments, what's the benefit of contactless payments. We're going to show you that contactless payments are secure. And we're going to talk about our new product, which we're totally jazzed to talk to you about, which is called CryptoTap.
All right. Well, what we got here is a picture of a grocery store, local grocery store right here. And what we're showing here is the effects of the quarter shortage that occurred out there. You can see from the sign here, attention customers, the Federal Reserve is currently experiencing a coin shortage. So we also heard this from many of the operators out there that they were affected by this. So what that means is a demand for cashless payments. So we're starting to see that ever more out there because of this quarter shortage.
Boy, we got a lot of calls about this, folks, from our car wash customers and also our laundry customers. And there really is an increased demand for cashless payments. The other thing that's increasing demand here, Tom, if you'll go ahead and shift over to the next slide here, is clean payments. And I think this slide kind of says it all, right? Here's a cashless payment, and they still got gloves on.
Right.
It's almost a psychological thing that the coins themselves have gotten infected, have gotten dirty. But being that it's true or not true that the coins could carry the virus is beside the point. It's the person using it that needs to have their needs met. And if they don't want to use coins and tokens, then we got to provide them with what they need.
Right.
Have you heard it more on this too, Tom? What have your customers said to you?
Oh yeah, I mean we're seeing demand for the cashless payments going up because of the customers are preferring it. They're wanting to use it. They're getting used to using it now because of both the coin shortage plus not wanting to handle the cash. So we're starting to see that quite a bit. Another interesting thing we heard about is they're going to let folks see in the stadium at the World Series this year this year, yeah. So in Arlington, they are going to let about 12,000 fans in, but all the payments must be cashless.
Wow.
All the payments down at the World Series this year will be cashless. That's very interesting.
So if you're there and it's super hot and you don't have any form of cashless payment, you can't even get a drink of water. So better get your new credit card now, folks.
That's right.
With the wireless beacons on it. Okay, why don't you take this one, Tom?
Okay, going along with increased demand for cashless payments, here's Jody Kelly of the Electronic Transaction Association.
My desk.
And she's saying that cash changing hands could present a vehicle for transmission for COVID virus. So a lot of people are aware of that now. This is leading many customers to favor cashless transactions. Contactless payments have come up as a new option for consumers who are much more conscious of what they touch, Kelly said. And also, the current crisis may be ample reason to consider cashless payments. We may see retailers seek to continue to firm up cashless policies long after the current crisis recedes.
Right. So we're moving in the right direction here at CryptoPay to address these needs as well. I want you all to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is contactless payments? We sort of know, right? You all have heard about it, but let me explain it a little bit more now. It's based on NFC. The credit card has to be near the reader, near field communication. That's all that means here. And it comes in quite a few different forms, including credit, debit cards. I think by the end of the year, many of you will get a new credit card reissued with the wireless beacons on it. Smartphones, right? Google Wallet, Apple Pay. Also wearables. Tom's got a watch.
Yep, got Samsung Pay on the watch here.
And they're talking about rings too. Good night.
Yep.
And let me just say that these payments are very, very secure. And again, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Fitbit, and others. So that's a little bit about what is contactless payments.
Okay, projections, contactless payment projections. What kind of numbers are we seeing in the future? Juniper Research found that more than half of global transactions at point of sale will be contactless within the next 5 years. Contactless is preferred choice of payment in many countries, with transactions counting for more than 50% in many other countries. And within the contactless payment arena, the smart card or the contactless card, as Dave showed you, is by far the most adopted means of payment. According to a recent report, the smart card market is expected to reach $65 billion by 2025,
Wow.
representing about 25% of all transactions out there.
Wow. And let me just say, there's still a big need for your existing CryptoPay swiper, because there's still credit and debit cards out there with MagStripe. There's still millions and millions of people that don't have contactless. I doubt that my 84-year-old dad will ever do contactless. The other thing too is CryptoPay has a lot of services built around a magnetic stripe card, right?
Right, absolutely.
We've got our fleet system.
Yeah.
We've got our attended cards. We've got our store card with our partners at WorldPay. So these things are we've designed the new product to pair seamlessly with the CryptoPay swiper. I'll get to that in a minute. The benefits of contactless payment. It's fast. It is really fast. During our testing, when Tom and I were in the field installing our new product called CryptoTap, it was amazing how quick it was. We had it installed on an auto cashier, right, Tom?
Right, absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how fast it was.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. The nice thing is you're not fumbling with trying to orientate the card in the right direction, trying to figure out what to do with it. All you do is you make your selection. It prompts you for payment. You hold your card up next to it or your phone right next to that reader. It goes beep, and then it says thank you for your payment. Please drive in, enter. It couldn't be simpler and it couldn't be faster.
We think on a busy Saturday with cars queued up in the in-bay automatic, this will really speed things through. It's easy too. It's easy. It's easy to use. You just hold it up there, as Tom said. You don't have to worry about what side is the mag stripe on. It's very easy. It's secure. Contactless today, as opposed to years ago when there was a problem and people had to have metal wallets.
Right.
It's different today. First of all, it has to be within a few centimeters of the device, a few centimeters. That's going to make it virtually impossible for any details to be intercepted while in use. It's effortless. It overall enhances the customer experience. There's no need to handle cash, coins, tokens. And again, we've hit on this several times, but I think it's worth hitting on again.
Yeah.
In the COVID era, it's clean.
Yep. Absolutely.
So those are some of the benefits. Okay, Tom, why don't you take it?
Getting more into the security, because Dave mentioned that a little bit. Let's break it down a little bit more. Contact payments are safe and secure. They do not use the credit card number information on the transmission. So no longer is the credit card number exposed out there. It's all replaced by a token, which we're very familiar with because we tokenize at the point of swipe currently with CryptoPay. This means, no need, as Dave said, for the metal wallet, any kind of protection on there. Somebody's not going to come along at a sporting event and grab that information off the cards that are being issued. So it's a very safe and secure technology with many layers of security built in to prevent fraud. And it only works when the card is very close to the reader. Again, as Dave was saying, it must be within a few centimeters of the reader, and it's virtually impossible for any of those details to be pulled off the card. So security is absolutely number one with near-field communication.
And you can see with this picture here that card is literally almost laying on the reader.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's very secure. Okay. We've got a couple of videos to show you from the testing Tom and I did in the field at numerous sites. And now let's shift gears to what CryptoPay has to offer, and that is called CryptoTap. So let me show you it on a self-serve bay. When this video ends, we're going to go ahead and show it on an auto cashier as well. So I got two videos back to back for you. We'll start, go ahead Tom, with the self-serve bay. Okay, this is Dave Richards of CryptoPay. This is an example of our CryptoTap unit right here. And it pairs seamlessly with the CryptoPay swiper. So it's the swiper that knows the configuration, count up, count down, the minutes. Hooking this up is as simple as hooking up two wires, a yellow and a black, for 24 volts. That is all you have to do and mount this unit. Swiper's ready to go. It's ready to get a signal from the CryptoTap unit. Tom is going to go ahead and use his phone. He's got his credit card. Let me scan on that for a sec, Tom. This is Tom's phone. His credit card is in his mobile wallet, and he's simply going to put it in proximity to the reader. Go ahead, Tom. And you can see that it's already verified. That's how quick this is. So for in-bay automatics, this is amazing because it's such quick verification. So you can see we're counting time and we're running the bay. Tom can add more time by pressing the button if he needs to, and he can also cancel out by pressing and holding the button as well. So that's CryptoTap on a self-serve bay. Hi, this is Dave at CryptoPay, and today I want to show you our CryptoTap unit. Tom, if you'll go ahead and point at that. We've installed it on a Unitech Wash Select 2. It pairs seamlessly with the CryptoPay Swiper, a true plug-and-play device. Only has a couple of wires to install and gives you the ability to use contactless credit cards and also Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. Tom has got in his Google Wallet his credit card, and he's going to go ahead and activate this car wash. Notice how fast it is. He selects the wash.
Please add payment for your selection.
He scans his wallet, and the display says verifying.
You have purchased the express wash. You may enter the wash if it is ready.
Okay, Tom's going to go ahead and hit the wash
The
now.
wash is now ready. Please drive in slowly following the entrance sign on the car wash.
That is CryptoTap on a Unitech auto cashier.
The wash is now ready. Please drive in slowly following the entrance sign on the car wash.
On a busy Saturday, this is great because it verifies so quickly. That's CryptoTap again on a Unitech Wash Select 2.
Okay, we are back.
Well, I hope
Right.
that gave you a good feel, folks, for CryptoTap. Let me talk to you about our goals here with the release of CryptoTap. Well, we're excited to release CryptoTap. We think it's going to be an answer that you're all needing, that pairs perfectly with your system you already have.
Yep.
We did that on purpose, folks. We did it so that it would be easy to install and work seamlessly with the system you already had. We have a limited release now. CleanRight has some stock, and if you want to jump on the bandwagon now, you can do that. The full release will be sometime early in the first quarter of 2021. Tom, talk about how it works with the existing system here.
Right. With CryptoTap, you do not have to worry about replacing anything you have out there. It's going to work right with the existing system that you have. So if you're already a CryptoPay customer, it's a true plug-and-play solution. You don't have to buy anything else. Once you power it up, it'll seamlessly join the network that's already out there, and then it'll pair up to an existing swiper. So if you're an existing CryptoPay customer, you just add the CryptoTap device to the payment area you want to put it on. If you're a new customer, you will need to first buy the standard CryptoPay system. So you will need a coordinator and a swiper. The CryptoTap wireless reader will be added to the standard order at the time, or you can even add it later.
Right.
So you can add that device later.
Right. Well, the last bullet here is worthy of saying yet again. CryptoTap provides a clean, no-touch interface. Customers, car wash owners, and attendants are not handling cash, quarters. CryptoTap, is not dependent on cash, quarters, or tokens. So now let's talk more about the installation. Tom, why don't you take this? You pretty much know this.
Yeah, absolutely. The installation is really simple with CryptoTap. So again, you're adding it to an existing card reader, whether it's on auto pay station with our retrofit kit. You're adding it on to there, or a coin box, as you see in the picture here. What you're doing is you're simply powering it up, 2 wires, really simple. After you mount it, power it up with 2 wires, 24 volt AC power. And once that's installed and on there, it will connect to the existing CryptoPay network. And then once it's connected, just get with our customer support team. What they'll do is they'll assist you in getting it paired to the existing swiper. And once it's paired to the swiper, it's ready to take those payments.
Right. Tom, I got a question for you. How does that CryptoTap reader know if the systems count up or count down? You know, where's that configuration at?
Right, that's an excellent question, Dave. It's actually still within the existing swiper that's already there. So that's already there. The swiper has all the information it needs. If it's interfacing with the Dixmoor timer, it knows to count up. It's got all your settings already in there. So that's already in place. You're simply adding the CryptoTap device as another form of payment right there in
Okay.
place.
So it really is true plug and play.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, we appreciate your time, folks. We have a lot of time now for questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
We also have a little demo here. We can show
Yes.
you. You know, we can show you how it works here.
Yeah, let's go
I
ahead
can
and do
hold
that,
this
Tom.
up there for everybody to see, and Dave can actually demonstrate it there with his card. And let's get this guy in the frame there. Okay.
So it's a nice little demo that we've used at many trade shows. This is a Dixmoor LED 6 timer. Imagine this is your timer and your swiper. And you said, yes, send me the CryptoTap unit. I simply take my credit card. That's how quick it is. Pulses have went to the timer that quick. And this baby is already counting down. Now, just like it's always been, if you want to add more time, do it at the swiper. That's why it's so important they let this work with the existing system. We didn't want to lose a lot of our advanced features. Here's one, adding more time. Now, if you've added too much time and you don't want to use all this, then press and hold and cancel it out. So we've integrated this right into your existing system. It should be very intuitive for your customers. We're in numerous sites with testing right now, and it's doing fabulous. And people are just simply using it. So that's the CryptoTap system. And thank you for your time.
All right. We can take some questions now from the online chat with CleanRight, and we'll go ahead and do that now. All right, now I'm gonna get over here.
You got me? Oh, I'm live. All right. I didn't see myself on the screen. I was kind of waiting for that to go. So we're good to go. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you guys about in-bay automatics, more specifically the chemistry and how we use that in the in-bay automatics in order to clean a vehicle. So in-bay automatics can simply be categorized as into two different functions, or two different categories. The two main types of IBAs are friction and touch-free. There are some hybrid in-bays out there as well, but you know, it's not a very big segment, so we're not going to spend any time talking about that, and this would cover both of those anyways. So first and foremost, you know, one of the things that we got to ask when we're starting to talk about any car wash, whether it's an in-bay automatic or if it's a friction machine, is what are our three goals? What do we want to accomplish from the chemistry? It's very important to use the chemistry to produce these three things. And one is clean. Most important thing that we need to do with the vehicle. Number two, we need to make that vehicle shine and make it look good as it's leaving the parking lot. Number three is we need to dry the vehicle. So those are the three main things that no matter what kind of car wash you have is going to bring those customers back again and again and again. So that's really what we're trying to accomplish in our cleaning process through the chemistry. So hopefully through this, you'll learn a little bit more as to how we can accomplish that. So first we're going to talk a little bit about friction in-bay automatics. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because the chemistry isn't quite as important with in-bay automatic friction machines. You know, the thing that's important, I really want to key on with friction in-bay automatics is they've made leaps and strides in the technology over the last 5 to 6 years as far as their capability. These were the original in-bay automatics. They kind of died out in the 90s because of the touch-free and all these nightmare stories about scratching vehicles, so on and so forth. But now with the new technology, they're using torque sensors, they're touching the vehicle less, they're using softer materials, neoprene. They're also becoming faster. That this is really going to be a good option going forward when you're looking to purchase a car wash or upgrade your equipment. And I will tell you, even from a chemical perspective, you're going to clean the vehicle a little bit better using a brush than you are without. You're going to get those harder days. You're going to get a nicer clean. So definitely want to take that into consideration. When we're talking about programming for a friction in-bay, you know, this is a very typical setup, probably on a more premium wash in order of operations. We're going to start with a high pH pre-soak, follow it with a brush lube, then triple foam, rinse that off, and then once we rinse that, we're basically clearing that palette, and then we're going to use our wax products. So we're going to go with a hot wax or clear coat, drying agent, spot free, and then a dryer. Again, very, very basic. Every piece of equipment is going to vary a little bit as far as how you can program it and what you can do, but this just gives you a really good idea of how to do that. The triple foam can also be applied in the brush process if you're using a soap or conditioner based triple foam. So there's a lot of different ways to shake it, again, depending on what type of equipment that you have. The chemistry in a in-bay automatic friction bay is a little bit easier because you're relying more on the mechanical action of the brushes to clean the vehicle as opposed to the chemistry itself. The chemistry is still more important on this particular machine when we're talking about drying and shining the vehicle, but not as far as cleaning. So it is important that you have the proper lubrication in order to reduce any type of damage claims or scratching on the vehicle. And then a pre-soak in this application is going to be really used to loosen the road soils. It's not going to be your main cleaner like it is in a touch-free. And then again, talking about the triple foams, there's all kinds of different types of triple foams. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. But you can use a conditioner, which is basically a soap-based triple foam, or a polish-based, which is going to be more like a drying agent to help to aid in the beading and the sheeting of the water. This is a typical Simonized setup, just so you can see some of the products that I would recommend to use in their actual usage on a generic setup. This would probably be a more premium wash, where we're using Magic Luster, high foam, high dilution, lubrication for your brushes, your high pH pre-soaking plus bone dry drying agent, triple bond premium clear coat protectant, conditioner, which is your soap-based triple foams, and your premium wax, which would be like a hot wax and shine, just so you can see some of the uses that we would typically use. So I'm not really going to go too much more into the chemistry on the friction, but we're going to touch base on some of the same principles when we go over the InBay automatics. InBay automatics we're going to spend a lot more time on, because this is the most popular machine that's out there. This has really taken the market over as far as InBay automatics since the 90s, and they're all over the place. This is that's what we're really going to hem on. And when we talk about the chemistry and cleaning in an InBay automatic, we really want to talk about not just the chemistry, but the other factors that will help to aid you in the cleaning process. And actually, there's 5 of them, and we're going to go into depth a little bit with all of them today. Starting with water, the water qualities, how it affects the car wash. Secondly, the time that it takes, the time that the detergents stay on the vehicle, how that relates to cleaning. Also, temperature. I mean, temperature can, affect a lot of different things, whether it's the temperature outside, the surface temperature of the vehicle, the temperature of the detergents, and then also the mechanics, which, similarly to the friction InBay, the mechanics, one of the most important things to make sure that they're up to snuff, so we can, make sure that quality is always high. And then finally, we're going to get in depth of the actual chemistry itself. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about the water qualities. When we talk about water qualities, this is one of the most important things that I deal with InBays, and will be a huge factor in the outcome of those 3 goals, that clean, and really the dry, and somewhat of the shiny. More specifically, we're going to get into water hardness, what water hardness is and how that affects the chemical, as well as the TDS. Those are the 2 biggest water factors that we look for. And again, this is not just in touch-free cleaning, but this is all car washes, whether you're a tunnel, friction. It's just way more important when you're talking about InBay automatics. So first, we're going to talk about water hardness. So water hardness, what is it? It's a measure of the salts that are in your water, and it's typically your calcium and magnesium that we are going to measure, and it is measured in grains. You can do a simple hardness test to see how good or how bad your water is, and then we basically will compensate for that. So, why is it important? It's important because you're going to lose up to 5% of the chemical's effectiveness per grain of hardness. So in most of the areas that I go, typical city water, you're between 7 and 10 grains of hardness. So if you got 10 grains of hardness, you're already losing up to 50% of your chemical's effectiveness just by not softening the water. So, it's important to know where you're at so that we can compensate for that. There are also chemicals that are out there, more specifically your alkaline cleaners, which can compensate for a certain amount of water hardness if maybe you range in that 3 to 5, where it's a little bit more acceptable to not have the ancillary equipment to support it. The biggest thing is with water hardness, not only will it kill your detergents and even your waxes, but over time, again, if you're not using the right types of chemicals with your water hardness, specifically your alkalins, it's going to clog your injectors, check valves, solenoid valves, lines, nozzles, very costly repairs, pain in the butt things that you just really don't want to be dealing with because of a water problem. There's nothing fun about changing a line because of water hardness. Soft water, which is taking the water hardness out of it, will also help to create higher foam capability out of your detergents by making the lather richer, and it will also extend the life of your RO membrane. So if you have spot-free water, it's also important that you're feeding that RO unit or your spot-free tank with soft water, and we'll tell you why. Additional questions when we're talking about water hardness, what level of water hardness is acceptable, and also should I have a water softener? Being that we're focusing specifically right now on touch-free and in-bay automatics, there's the question you need to ask yourself is do you want to be the best? Do you want to do the best job that you can? You want that car at the end of that bay to look the best that it can. For me, I've been doing this for 15 years. And I've seen the difference of whether you have it or whether you don't, whether you heat your water, whether you don't. And I'm the type of person, I'm going to be the best. So for me, when I have this discussion with owners of what level is acceptable, the answer, for me, there's only one answer, and that's 0. That's it. 1, you're going to lose some of the effectiveness. So unless you bought a place that has really, really good water and you don't want to buy the supporting equipment, I understand it's a giant expense. You got to put salt in the brine tank. There's some maintenance involved. It can be acceptable, but I want to be the best, so I'm going to make sure it's 0 every single time. So should you have a water softener? Absolutely. And again, we run into a lot of tunnels. They don't have them. We can compensate for that, and we do. But I would much rather have it than not, because it's going to make a much cleaner, shinier, drier vehicle. So right here, I just have this is just an example, of a customer of what this looks like. This is what water hardness can do. This is a tank customer of mine. He runs about 8 to 9 grains. Again, regular city water. Has a softener. Ran out of salt, didn't realize it for about 2 weeks, calls me up, hey Randy, my tire cleaner's not working. So through my troubleshooting process, come to find this. This is an alkaline that basically is adhered to the water hardness and completely crystallized inside of the tank. And now this becomes a nightmare to clean up. You're not using any chemical, so you're not putting on a display, you're not cleaning anything. Obviously we're able to address it, and this was one of several problems that, occurred because of the water hardness, 8-9 grains. And again, a very, very common amount. So next we're going to talk a little bit about TDS, which is measured in total dissolved solvents. That's going to be your RO water. So this is also going to be considered your spot-free water. This is obtained typically from reverse osmosis. To create nearly pure water, or water that has no minerals in it. So we're basically taking through the reverse osmosis, we're splitting that water into 2. All the water that we want as good water goes into a tank, and all the water that we don't want that has all the minerals in it, a lot of times now we're recycling it. 10, 15 years ago, we pretty much dump it down the drain, but now that water is becoming a commodity, we're recycling that water and we're using it in places where the quality isn't quite as important, like the undercarriage or maybe even the high pressure rinse. Your RO unit, which is important to remember, just like what we talked about, your RO unit will take out the water hardness. Water hardness will also be some of your TDS, that parts per million, how we measure that. And the hard thing about water hardness is it's actually going to, kill your membranes over time. It's going to clog them up. So you're going to produce less and less and less. And you're going to have to replace them on the regular. If you're the type of person you're replacing your membranes every 2 years, this is probably why. There's 2 things that will absolutely kill your RO membranes. One of them is water hardness. The other one is chlorine. Chlorine that's in your water. If you have something that's coming from your city water, chances are you have chlorine. So you got to be able to take that chlorine out of there. It's going to actually eat away your membranes, and it's going to do it at a much more rapid rate than water hardness will clog them. So it is also important to have a carbon filter if you're on city water to take the chlorine out prior to the RO unit. General rule of thumb, we're checking for TDS. We're measuring that in ppm, which is parts per million. So we're looking for parts per millionth. I mean, it's such a small particle. I like to use 50 as a general rule of thumb. You want to be under 50. If you're at 50, it's too much. Anything above 50, it's too much. You have the ancillary equipment there. You want to be as close to zero. Realistically. So, you need to look at your adjustments. Most guys I'm running 10 to 20. I'd say that's a very fair assessment. You're going to create, near perfect water. By the time it gets into the tank, it's going to pick up a little bit. By the time it gets out into the bay, it's going to pick up a little bit. You want to really test it in the bay because you want to know what we're putting on the vehicle. So very important. It's going to dictate the dry of the vehicle. And the end result is in the beading and the sheeting. If you're getting beading and sheeting after your wax application, then you're putting on the spot free and it's flattening out, you've got bad spot free, which is going to spot on the vehicle and it's not going to dry very well as well. So very important to know what that quality is as well. One of the more common issues that I run into, especially if you're on that 30-40 range, is you should have some type of pre-membrane filter in there, which is typically a 5-micron filter, sometimes maybe a 10. You wouldn't go anything higher than that. You want it to be as low as possible to take out as many minerals as possible. So you want to change that depending on your water usage, typically once a month, sometimes once every 3 months. And it may fluctuate per season. It's all about water consumption. Same thing with adding salt to your brine tank. The more that you use, the more you're going to have to add. So it all has to do with the amount of business. You're washing more cars, you're going to have to check it more often. So just something important to take into consideration. Here is typical plumbing of the water the way that it should go. So you're going to have your main line come into your water softeners, and then anything, if you look at the bottom, anything that touches the chemicals should get soft water. And then your carbon filter should only feed right before the RO unit, and then your RO unit obviously is going to capture the spot-free water. So don't want to get too far in depth into that. I think we talked about water a little bit too much as it is already. So we're going to go ahead and move on to time. We're going to spend a little bit on this. We're going to look at time of service, especially as vehicles. Car washes are getting more and more technology in them, and also the delay and the amount of time that we have sitting in the bay. So time of service, new machines. I mean, we're getting faster and faster and faster. Some of these machines that are out there, we're capable of washing a vehicle in 2.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes. So as these machines get faster and faster, we need to compensate with the chemical and make the chemical stronger and stronger to be able to have the same amount of clean. The older machines, I mean, these old dinosaurs, a lot of them, they're still out there, the Southern Prides, Futuras. I mean, these machines take 8-10 minutes to wash, a car. But it's something very important that we kind of forget with these newer machines is that it allows a lot of time for that detergent to sit on the vehicle and really do its job, and the water to move and the chemical to move and the dirt to move. So that dwell time we talk about is very important. And it's still important on these new machines. Anytime that you can let that chemical sit, the more effective it's going to be. One of the analogies I like to use is when you're washing your dishes and you have that lasagna pan and you just can't scrub it off. You get a little bit of Dawn, you let it sit there, and that's going to get those deeper detergent or the deeper soils. Same thing with car washing. You got to let it sit there to get those deeper soils. So very, very important in the cleaning process. So we're going to move on to temperature. Argument I get with customers all the time: is it effective to heat your water? I mean, heating your water can be a huge expense, and this is, again, do you want to be the best? So what I like to do is answer this question with another question: do you use hot or cold water to wash your hands? But more importantly, why? And I think a lot of people don't really think about this or take this into consideration. But the short answer is you use hot water. But why? Well, we use hot water because it opens the pores on your hands to get a deeper clean. And when you're talking about a vehicle, in today's modern paint is very similar. The surface is very porous. So especially on the detergents, it's very important to use heated detergents because it's actually going to open those pores of the paint and let us get a deeper clean. So that's really just a good way, I think, of explaining it. Heating the detergents and sometimes even the hot water rinse is going to be especially effective in hard to clean times, which is typically in colder weather and in rain. Where I'm at in the Northeast, we've run into a lot of problems in the spring and the fall. Those are our two hardest times to clean all the time, because the wet weather brings out the road soils, gets all over the vehicle. We have a harder time penetrating it. Municipalities are putting different things on the roads that are trying to make the salt stick, and it's gotten harder and harder. So again, we have to compensate for that in some regards. The ideal temperature for your detergents is going to be between 110 and 140. I've had guys go as high as 160. When you get really hot, you can actually damage the equipment, especially rubber seals, rubber hoses, and stuff like that. So you don't want them to be expanding and contracting too much. 120 degrees at the nozzle, is about ideal. If you can obtain that, that's about the best place that you can be. Does outside temperature affect cleaning? Absolutely. Whether you're in a northern region or southern region, again, when you have transient weather and you're going from hot to cold or cold to hot, you have porous paint. Again, going back to your hands and cleaning your hands, it's going to have the capability of locking that dirt into your clear coat. So when it's hot outside and then it gets cold, the pores are open, it gets cold, then it closes them in. So, it is important, again, to bring that temperature back up so that we can get those deeper soils. When it's extremely hot outside, if you're in the southern part of the country, if you have a hot surface temperature, you can dry the soap right on the vehicle. Same thing with your waxes. So it's important to kind of cool the surface of the vehicle down in those types of cases for most effective cleaning. But the most important thing, again, in my region that I run into years after year is that, okay, can we drive better in warmer weather? So when it gets cold, all of a sudden we're in these colder months and people are like, oh, it's not drying the same that it was. Just got a question. It says, can I use Simonized IBA chemicals to wash my shoes? No, I wouldn't. And the reason why is because what we sell in the commercial space is industrial strength chemicals. So, another thing, when I tell people what I do for a living, they always tell me, oh, hey, can I get some car wash soap? What I sell you is car wash soap. It's not the same stuff you use in your driveway. The stuff you use in your driveway, you're using an ounce to a gallon, maybe a 10-to-1 solution. When we're doing this stuff in the in-bay automatics, we are diluting 50-to-1, 100-to-1. Some of our chemicals, ultra concentrates, we're 200-to-1. There's just not a real easy way to dilute that. Although we do have laundry detergents that you could use to clean your shoes. I would not recommend in-bay automatic chemicals to do that. So, back to what I was saying about drying a vehicle. Warmer weather, you're going to dry better. Doors are closed in the wintertime. You're going to leave a lot of mist in there, more likely to drip on the vehicle, spot. So it's important to remember that the water's not going to dissipate as well in the colder weather. It's going to, warmer weather is always going to dry a little bit better. And again, that's one of those three goals that we have, is making sure that we're drying as best that we can. So moving on to mechanics. Mechanics, just like friction bay, mechanics is the number one most important thing, is to make sure that you are doing the best job that you can. The machine is doing, it's programmed to do certain things. Programming can be a big factor too. Even going back to the dwell and making sure that soap is sitting there for some time, making sure that the chemicals are switched over. So when we go from a freshwater rinse to a wax, that wax is actually out there before we start putting it on the vehicle. Since we're doing the motions with the machine, it's important to remember that. So mechanics, the number one thing, and they pay also the biggest factor in the dilution ratio. Mainly, saying that if an injector goes bad, a solenoid goes bad, well, it's not necessarily the chemical's fault that the injector is bad, even though the chemicals typically blame. We're not putting on as much chemical as we should be, or we don't have the right dilution because the injector's failing. So, it's important to be an expert on, knowing what that application should look like. And that's the best way to really notice it, is you need to be, know exactly what every one of those applications look like, and making sure that you're getting, soap and wax, and you're drying and shining every single time. Also, high pressure rinse. I mean, that's so important in the process of cleaning. I think a common misconception is that the detergents are what clean the vehicle. The detergents aid in the cleaning of the vehicle. The detergents loosen the road films, but it's actually the high pressure rinse that knocks it off. So if we don't have both of those working in unison, we're not going to do as good. So, high pressure rinse, typically, we want that to be as high as can be, but we want to be about 1,000 pounds, depending on machine, to make sure that we're getting that impingement and the mechanical action to clean the vehicle. I would say, in the 15 years that I've been doing this, 95% of the calls that I get, hey, Randy, we're not cleaning the vehicle. Hey, Randy, we're not drying the vehicle. It is some kind of mechanical problem, whether it's a solenoid, a check valve, something's clogged, injector's bad. So, it's important to remember the chemistry is actually one of the most consistent things that you have in an in-bay automatic. Also, foot valves can be a very common problem too. All right, so finally, we're going to get into the chemistry. So hopefully you can see, it's not just the chemistry that cleans a vehicle, but it's all these other factors. I always say you can't really just say it's one thing in touch-free cleaning. It's a multitude of things. But we'll get into the chemistry a little bit about it. We're going to talk specifically about pH, how we use the pH, what a pH is. And also, we're going to try to put the rest a single step versus a two-step. So this is a pH scale, okay, and this is going to show basically these are all household items, and most of these things you don't think of dangerous things, with the exception of maybe gastric acid or bleach. But it just kind of shows you that these things aren't necessarily harmful things. When you talk about an acid, most people have a negative connotation of what acid is. It's something that is dangerous. And actually, alkalins typically are your more dangerous chemical of the two, and that's going to be our bulk cleaner. We'll go over that a little bit too. It's important to know that when we talk about pH, all we're doing is categorizing that particular chemical with a number, and it's on a sliding scale from 1 to 14, 7 being neutral. So when we say something is an acid, all we're saying is that it is below a 7 pH, and when it's an alkaline, that is above 7 pH, so it's an 8 to 14. But just because it's a 14 or a 1, I think the important thing to remember, and another common misconception, is it doesn't mean that it's stronger. It's a stronger base or a stronger acid, yes, but it doesn't mean the chemical is stronger. The only way to really depict how strong that chemical is to actually do a titration of it. You can have something that is a base 10 or 11 and be stronger than a 14. And a lot of times you'll find out that actually is the case. Is the strength of the actual base or acid as opposed to where it is on the pH scale. So the only way to actually determine the strength of your chemical is to do a titration. So that will bring us to our next slide. What is a titration? A titration is basically testing how strong that chemical is. So, we can test an acid and we can test an alkaline. And how do we do that? We take a sampled amount of that chemical. Usually we're going to sample about 10 milliliters, which isn't a lot, a third of an ounce, if that makes more sense. We're going to get it at the point of application, which is typically in the bay. And then we are going to take, let's say we have our soap 1, which is going to be an acid. We're going to put some indicator solution in there, which allows it to turn color. Then we're going to add our alkaline to it. We're going to add alkaline to acid to bring it to neutral. We're going to count the drops. The amount of drops that goes into that chemical is how strong that is. The more drops you have, the stronger the chemical is. And we do the opposite for an alkaline. We'll take the alkaline sample, and we'll take acid base, and we will add drops and see how strong that is. So That's what we're doing with the titration, and that's something, if you haven't done it is pretty important. This will tell you a lot of times if something's too weak, too strong, or if there's a mechanical issue, and you can start digging to say, okay, what's going on here? We're not using enough. Typically is what happens with that. We're not using enough. So let's talk a little bit about single step versus a two-step. I think this is a conversation, if we would have had 15 years ago, it is a different conversation that we have today. Is single step more effective than a two-step? Yes and no. Single step, typically are used in older machines. These machines that are 20 plus years old out there. A lot of times they didn't have the capabilities to do a two-step. And a lot of times, again, they took 8 to 10 minutes. So you were able to compensate with usage and the amount of time that it sat on the vehicle to use it. A lot of times you could use a mild degreaser and still get the vehicle clean because the amount it took. So again, when we talk about the time that it takes, and now that machines are getting faster and faster, I really, really believe that two-step is the way to go. So what's the difference? Single step will use a high pH only. And a lot of times we'll use 2 passes. Some of these older machines, you're using 3 passes. A lot of them are chemical hogs. So you're not going to use more concentrated chemicals on them anyways because it becomes too expensive. To use a two-step properly, we are going to use a low pH followed by a high pH. There are some places out there, I've seen guys, they use a high pH first and then followed by a low pH. It's not going to get you as clean of a vehicle as you want. It's going to get you a drier vehicle, but not a cleaner vehicle. The other thing is it depends on region that you're in. So when you use a low pH first, it is going to soften the surface of the vehicle. It's going to cool it down. It's going to bring us to a working temperature, and we are able to put a higher high pH on by doing that. If you put a very strong high pH on first on the vehicle without softening the surface or cooling down the surface, you can run into issues where you score paint, aluminum surfaces, wheels, chrome. You can actually do damage with a high pH. And again, especially if we have to run it at such a high concentration, you need to put the low pH on first. And more specifically, if you're in the south or in hotter areas, it's very, very important to put that low pH on first. If you still only have the capability of a high pH, just take all those other factors into consideration. That's okay, but you can't run it fast and chemically, what we call chemically hot, even though that's going to be the best way to do it. So the other thing is too, with two-step cleaning, it's going to offer a wider variety of cleaning. We'll go to that here pretty quick. Acid soaps are used to clean other things a little bit more specifically than alkaline, but your alkaline is the bulk cleaner. That's really the strongest one. That's what's going to clean the paint of the vehicle. If you're trying to clean a vehicle in a touch-free and using single-step low pH, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's never going to work out the way that you want. So another, just thing to take into consideration. And this is just, what I had already explained. It's using a low pH first. It helps to cool the paint so you don't chemically flash the paint. Again, especially on a darker vehicle, black, dark red, blue, very, very important. So, here is a nice chart. As I say, we're looking at now, okay, what does a low pH do? What does a high pH do? And if you look at this chart, you notice that, some of the things, road oil, asphalt, tar, those are typical. Those use a specialty chemical, and those are the times, those are the things like tar and asphalt we're using in detail. We cannot get those off, whether you have a tunnel, whether you have an in-bay automatic friction or touch-free. So, but you look at our high pH, okay, and it does just a majority of everything. I mean, that's going to be, again, your bulk cleaner, but your low pH is going to do a little bit better on things like glass, chrome, but more so, it's going to offer the ability to create a dynamic on the vehicle where the low pH doesn't like the high pH, and when they hit each other, it gives you almost its own mechanical action where it's starting to move. So that's really the biggest benefit, is you're going to get those deeper road films by by putting the two of them together. They don't like each other. On a microscopic surface, you got a cationic and anionic reaction, so it's going to get some of those deeper soils as well. Typical programming for touch-free. Again, we're always gonna do SOAP 1, SOAP 2, low pH, high pH, then dwell. I don't care if you put 5 seconds in there, 10 seconds in there. The more dwell that you can have, the better. The more that thing can sit there, the more effective it's going to be. So it's important to have that dwell. Then we're going to do a high pressure rinse. And then so this is one of the biggest things. Again, with the newer equipment, you get a lot of questions. Where do we put that premium? Where do we put the hot wax in bay? Where do we put the ceramic sealant? You want that to be the first thing to touch the vehicle after the rinse. So we're basically, after the rinse, we have a blank slate. Now we're coming through with our waxes. And if you notice on this one, I have triple foam after the hot wax. I'm using a polish-based triple foam. So polish-based triple foam, again, has like what would be considered like a drying agent in it. So it's going to break down very freely, and it's going to actually aid in the beading and sheeting of water, and actually, give you a little bit of extra shine on the vehicle. So the biggest thing is when we put it after the high pressure rinse is that we're able to get it off. You got to remember in bays and actually any car wash, the more stuff that we put on, the more stuff we have to take off. So we are trending towards speed of service. So it's very important. And what we're doing in a lot of these situations is we're using a polish-based triple foam. We're putting it right on top of the hot wax. So we're putting 2 applications into one to keep that speed of service up. And then, we'll maybe have some kind of rinse in there, and then followed by, drying agent or clear coat, then a spot-free rinse, and then a dryer. And here is similarly, you can see actually our usages are a lot higher in the in-bay automatics. And again, the biggest reason for that is because we have to. We have to use more of it to get the same type of clean. So, here's, the chemicals you can get, Simonized stuff, CleanTrack 1A, which is your low pH, followed by CleanTrack 2A, high pH, some actual usages, 30 mils, that's 1 ounce of your drying agent, then clear coat, and then Prime Pack triple foam, which again is a polish-based triple foam, about a half an ounce on that, and then your premium wax, just so you can have an idea of what some of these usages should be in the in-bay automatics. One of the things that we offer, everybody has these now, but this is a great option for smaller equipment rooms. We're starting to sell a lot of this stuff in the 2.5s. Logistics get a little bit tougher. How do we, have a smaller footprint? It's not easy to move around 55s and 30s. So, our concentration line, or our ultra concentrated line is actually very nice because it's not so ultra concentrated that you don't run into a variance as much when we're talking about usage. When you're talking about usage of 5 milliliters or these microscopic amounts, you can have water pressure fluctuations that will make that application look bad or not look like it's coming out at all. So, ours they're concentrated. They're not super concentrated like a lot of other guys that are out there, but it does offer a smaller footprint. We have these in 7-gallon containers, 11-gallon containers, 18-gallon containers, and you're just constantly putting a 25-pound container on top that's flowing back into a reservoir and just kind of adding to it as needed. So your detergents, a lot of times we'll put those on the ground with an 18. They're just ideal if you have limited space, and they actually work really well. They've come, just like the machines are getting better and better, ultra concentrates have come leaps and bounds over the last 10 to 15 years. So definitely something that I would suggest if you're open to it. It's a lot more eco-friendly, easy to move, easy to store, and especially if you have multiple locations, it's easy to take one, put it in the back of a car, back of a truck, and move it to another site if one is in fear of running out for the weekend or something like that. You don't have to pump. It pierces, cellophane on top, and you're just constantly adding to it. Another thing that I want to talk about that is very important and with the newer machines is extra services. This is something that's really trending. in this industry, and you're going to see a lot more of going forward. We offer these services, but we're getting to that point where I think we're kind of maxing out what we can charge in the car wash. So you're going to start seeing more options and buy up options and more customization of what those consumers can buy at the kiosk. So, it's important not only to just offer these services, but more importantly to market them. And I think that's one thing that we really don't do well in Bay Automatics is market these additional services. I wrote an article a while ago about FOMO. And if you don't know what that is, that's the fear of missing out. And it's a very, very real thing. If you walk around in grocery stores and gas stations, they utilize this. I mean, you look at what Coke and Pepsi and Frito-Lay do, and they're constantly coming up with new flavors and new this and new that, and then they're discontinuing it. That's one thing I think we really do a bad job at in Bay Automatics that some people do, and it's very effective to say, hey, look, we have this new product for a limited time, or saying, hey, try this new product. People are more apt to try it when you ask them to try it or show them that you have something new than if you just add it into a package. So that's what we're really using the ceramic sealant as with the machines that are capable of doing, is an actual buy-up function. So, would you like to add ceramic sealant to your wash package for $3 today? So you're generating additional revenue. You're going to see more tire shines now. We're starting to put them in Bay Automatics. Desalt, seasonal product. When you're in the north, it encapsulates the salt particles that are on the vehicle. So very seasonal. Sometimes another one could be, bug cleaners, Rust-Tite that's for your undercarriage and to help, seal up underneath of the vehicle. And of course our hot wax, which is kind of almost become a pretty standard wax. It just gives you a deeper shine, higher gloss, better dry on the vehicle. If you haven't used the ceramic sealant, I think it's even a level ahead of where the hot wax is. So, again, just very, very nice things that you can use to try to get a little bit of additional revenue. And if you haven't added some of these things, you've got older equipment, so important. There are additional pieces of equipment that you can add to the machine that you have, or try to figure out how do you get these things in your bay to show your consumers that you're doing something different to help them, buy in and generate additional revenue. With that, that's all my time. I kind of run through this a little bit fast. I slowed down last time and got a little bit off beat, but use this time to answer any questions that anyone might have to pose at this point. I got a little bit ahead of my cards. Yeah. I'm telling you, I literally just did this an hour ago, and I was an hour. So I tried to not get off a topic, and funny enough, sure. Okay, so RVs and truckers are in their own category because they're typically super anal about those types of vehicles, especially truckers. I mean, you got a lot of brushed aluminum. You cannot use strong chemicals with them. I mean, a lot of times you're using a brush anyway. So on our product line, I mean, you're going to be looking at like Wash and Shine. Which is it's more of a neutral, you know what I mean? You're going to use that kind of like a bucket soap with a brush. You could also go with like a number 4 degreaser, something that's pretty mild, like even like a simple green that's a little bit dilutable. You could use something like that, but you're going to rely a little bit more on elbow grease, and you probably your big brush to clean that more than you are going to be, using anything aggressive. I mean, that's the one thing you want to stay away from, is anything that is, you're going to go with a mild high pH or a neutral to get that clean. But wash and shine is usually our go-to on that. Is the lighting okay in here? Okay, awesome. Then I'm not going to make any special commendations for that. This is pretty much exactly what I'm going to do right in here. It's just nobody's here. It's nice and quiet. Where I did the practice the last time, it was in the office, and there was people in there today, and I could hear them yapping in the background, just doing a little trial run, and it was driving me nuts. So I'm like, this is not going to work. So good. All right. I think we're good. Is it going to be the same code when we do that, or are you going to send out a new code? I mean, obviously I'll be on, so I'll be watching chat and whatnot. Okay, so I'm assuming you'll probably email that out the day of. Okay, sounds good. All right, we good for today then? Okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your help. I mean, this that should be pretty good. I mean, I might make a couple adjustments, but it's pretty easy for me to get off topic. Hopefully, I get a couple of questions, during the process. Not too many, because I like to answer things pretty thoroughly. So I think as long as I don't get that, then I think we'll be right on time. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.
All right, I think we are going here. Sorry for that. I couldn't find the stream. Let me pull up. All right, I think we are going here. Sorry for that. Mute that guy. Okay, welcome everybody to the Video Surveillance CleanRight Masterclass. My name is Dave Deal. Many of you probably know my dad, Rick Deal, also a car wash owner in Salt Lake City, Utah. So today we're going to just be discussing some of the basic, simple ways that you can protect your asset, your car wash, your business, and making sure that you are keeping things up to date. We're going to just go ahead and start here by watching a couple of quick video clips from different car wash owners around the country and how video surveillance has been able to really help benefit them, and even just capturing some different things that have gone on at these different car washes. So we'll go ahead and jump into this first one. And this is actually Jerry Nick's car wash, if anybody knows Jerry. But this happened in 2018. He had his employees there cleaning up, and this took place. Oops. Let's see here. Got there we go. All right, so this next one, right, here we go. This next one shows a guy trying to break into the vacuums here. It's pretty crazy. You just think about all of the interesting situations that happen at car washes. I think sometimes they definitely bring out a different breed of people sometimes. Very creative. This guy going after cutting the locks, and he's making sparks. I'm sure that is very visible to people around, but nobody seems to mind too much as he's cutting into the back door. So he gets the back door lock off, gets open, and then it shows him inside the equipment room. Now has an accomplices. They're going after the changers right now. And there goes the alarm. And out they go. This next one is an engine fire that started because they put some engine cleaner on a hot engine. So in the bay, capture, you can see the walls on the right starting to melt. Okay, this is a super interesting one as well. So this is actually a staged car accident that happened at another car wash. Up here in the top right, you can see the vehicle coming into the screen right there where the blue posts are. And he runs into the posts. The purpose of this is they are staging a car accident, and then they were going after the car wash to potentially pay for it. And it was all captured on video, so they knew exactly what was going on the entire time. And this is actually one of the employees there going around in the garbage. I don't think he knew quite what was going on. And ran over the poles. Just keep waiting, it gets better. Pulling the bumper out, laying it on the ground. Pieces of the car, pulling that out. It's absolutely fascinating. The longer that I'm around this, just the interesting people there are and some of the things they try and come up with. Kicking more of the pieces around. So the outcome, obviously, they went to try and make this claim against the car wash, and obviously they weren't able to do anything because they had everything captured on video. Another car comes in. I think these people are with them. All right. So a couple other situations that we've had in the past we've been able to capture. This, as you can see here, you've got the gentleman in the blue up here on the top left. He is a customer, and you've got this other gentleman in the back picking up garbage, doing something. Anyway, this picture on the right depicts the customer pulling a gun on this other gentleman because he felt threatened. This is a situation here actually at our Salt Lake wash. This guy was stringing. He ended up getting only about $20 that day from stringing that machine, but we were able to catch a pretty good picture of him. You know, and you can tell quality lighting of the video makes it a lot easier when you're trying to go to the police or something, you know, of that nature to capture. This next one we've got coming up here, again, Salt Lake wash. This guy's trying to break into the vacuums. He was working on it for a while. We do have alarm sensors in each of our vacuums as well, which again, that triggered, and this guy took off really, really quick. This is the back view of this Salt Lake wash as well. And this is a situation where we were actually, my dad was at home and he was watching the feed. Saw this guy in the back, in the bottom right, you can see he's got a big long string of wire. He was actually stripping copper. So he got on there, and the cops, he didn't end up calling them, but they ended up showing up, and he watched what went down here. Turns out this guy was stripping the wire for copper, and he said that he had given it to, or he got it from his boss, and that wasn't, you know, we don't know that was really the case or not, but anyway, captured and taken care of there. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This happened last year. Again, this is at our car wash in Utah, and this is a gentleman that came up on this little dirt bike. You can see him entering here, comes up onto the sidewalk, and he actually had an EMP device which malfunctioned the changer, and he ended up getting $1,400 this day out of gold dollars and even some bills from this EMP device. This was a very fascinating device. You know, we've seen a lot of people trying to do different things with stringing and, you know, other types of devices to get money out of changers, but we had never seen anything like this. And we ended up catching up with this guy about a year later after, you know, a whole bunch of different events that occurred with the police department, and Rick ended up going through and talking all the way up to the captain. And at first they didn't really want to do anything. We had this great quality. We had, you know, everything we needed to really prosecute this guy. We found out that, you know, he'd just gotten out of jail or something, and he's not a very good guy to be around. Anyway, we ended up being able to prosecute him, and the courts sent my dad a check for $1,400. So we were able to get that back. So as you can see, again, this is a top view, the same guy. This EMP device he puts together in his pocket, and he just sticks it in the bill acceptor, and it just fries the mechanics of it and starts spitting out bills and coins. Again, what we ended up doing to find this guy is we had this great video shot, right? And you can see here, he actually looks up, we've got his face. We posted this on the door of the equipment room right next to the changer there, and then along the vacuum islands as well. We even put him in the bays. And he actually had one of his friends turn him in, and so that's how we were able to start the process of going after this guy. So to get into it, really, I want to cover a few things here of importance. And when you're protecting your car wash, we found there really are three main things that help deter anybody from causing damage or harm at a car wash. Number one is the alarm, as we saw from those previous videos. Whenever somebody had an alarm and it triggered, it would cause the assailants to leave, in a quick manner. So as soon as those alarms trip, it really does add some major benefit to keeping your wash secure and safe. Lighting is another big thing that can help. I've got a couple of pictures here in a minute that are going to cover the lighting. And then video again, if you're able to capture some of that feed from what's going on at your wash, there's a lot of benefits from it, not only from capturing bad things, but even maintenance things. There's times, I'm sure, when different operators, right, you have an issue go off, or you have an alarm go off, and the first initial thought is, oh, send somebody down, or I've got to go down, it's the middle of the night. And if you have a video feed, you can pull those cameras up, see exactly what's going on. Maybe it's just a false trigger. If you're monitoring, you can cancel your dispatch, whatever the case is there. So jumping into, first of all, the alarm side, there's a lot of different avenues that you can use when it comes to alarms. So first you have anything that can range from pro systems to DIY, right? There's many different alarm companies out there that'll come do a full install, have monitoring, everything set up that way. There's also a lot of DIY options. This is just an IQ panel. You can put these basically and order them off, Amazon or just online somewhere, and you can get these panels put different sensors around. One of the big things to note, if you can see the picture in the top right above the light, there's a big siren. Again, that's the deterrent. When that alarm goes off, you have a siren that just is super, super loud. Whoever's trying to break in or cause damage, chances are they're going to leave really quick. These new panels are really neat too because of the different capabilities and functions they have, right? As you can see there as well, there's a notification system that goes right to your phone, tells you what's going on with the alerts directly to, via text to your phone. Again, sirens and flashing lights make a big difference. Monitored, really the difference there is you can either have it monitored by just a text to your phone, or you can have an actual monitoring company, dispatch, police that are basically tied into that system, and they can send or call in dispatch and have police sent in a quick manner. So when it comes to lighting, this is a super important thing as well. As you can see here, the bay on the right is set up with a bunch of big LED lights. The bay on the left is just, an older type light. You can see the difference in how lit up those bays are. The one on the left is much darker. The one on the right, there is a significant amount of light. If somebody's driving by, this is right on State Street, and so if somebody's driving by, they're going to see exactly what's going on, where the one on the left, being a little bit darker, it might be harder for somebody to catch what's going on. Thieves don't like to be seen. That's a big thing. Again, going back to the alarms and lighting, chances are if something's well lit and you have an alarm system and cameras, it may be a very good deterrent by people just seeing. But if something does happen, you're able to catch them and prosecute, and it makes it a lot better. Also, the big thing to note with the better lighting is you do get better camera pictures as well, and it provides, again, just a safer environment at night. So when it comes to, our next phase here with video, again, we've talked about some of the benefits, and we'll get into this a little bit more here. But you really do have, a lot of great options when it comes to video. The technology has gotten very, very good. It constantly changes at a very rapid pace. When my dad, Rick, first got started in the video surveillance business, it's been quite some time now, and I got started with him when he, initially started. And seeing the technology from when we got started in the industry to now, there's a vast difference. Just picture quality, the capturability, the files. As you can see here in these pictures, this is a very, very clear picture. You can see the guy's face there at the changer. You can see the $5 bill. Even the license plate picture on the right. If you zoom in a little bit, you can see that license plate very well in the bay. And again, it's just tracking and keeping track of everything. Video qualities range anywhere from 1080p, 2 megapixel, 5 megapixel, and 4K and 8 megapixel cameras. Like I say again, the technology is getting very, very good at a very, very quick rate. All right, so benefits of video surveillance. Number one, being able to protect property, cash, customers, and you. It's a big deterrent, keeping people away. Also, it's a great liability enhancer. I guess that could be the right term, right? Insurance companies like it. In your automatics, you're able to keep track of what's going on there. Equipment damage, injuries, slips and falls. Now, here's one of the big things to note with liability, right? As you can see here, this sign on the right, the warning sign, it says this property is protected by video surveillance. So that being said, you also have to be very, very careful with what verbiage says on signs, because if something happens to a customer or they decide to file a claim or something, you know, of that nature occurs, and you have that sign written up and the verbiage a little bit off, they're going to come after you first, right? So you've got to be aware of that when you're putting this verbiage together on the sign. Like, yes, it's a benefit, it's going to protect the property, right? But it's not necessarily going to protect the customer, because something still could happen and they could come back to you for that liability. Now, the other thing to note here, it says no dumping, fine $500. So with our local police department, one of the things they said, we had a lot of issues with people dumping garbage and just stuff in the bays. They wouldn't prosecute unless we had it stated, and so that's why we ended up putting that on a sign, and we were able to, you know, show that much better. Okay, so what are some of the ways or some of the different items that, you know, we can choose to monitor with video surveillance? First of all, equipment, bill changers, bays, even the equipment rooms, great places to have cameras. As you can see here, a couple of different areas with these pictures. One of the things that my dad and I were actually talking about as we were getting this presentation ready was this picture on the bottom left. This guy's in his red shirt. He's got this mess in the bay. Let's just say my dad was able to watch this on the cameras and then drive down to the wash and connect with this guy, which, you know, it was probably the span of, I don't know, maybe 30 to 45 minutes, and he was still in the bay. Well, if that bay is being tied up for hours on end at a time, then that's loss in revenue. And that's not what you want for a high producing wash. And just even the look of it, because, you know, people are driving by, they see this, that's kind of a deterrent. They want to be just in a car wash with a bunch of people. You know, this particular day, I'm not sure if there was a big line or not, but as you can imagine, if there was a big line and this guy's holding up traffic and the flow, that could cause some major issues. And so being able to video monitor remotely and tap into the wash and see what's going on, it's able to allow you to really make sure the wash is running efficiently. Other areas that we can monitor too are the vac islands, garbage cans. I'm not sure if any of the operators out there have any issues with people rummaging through garbage cans, stealing stuff, dumpsters, you know, if people are illegally dumping, and the equipment room, as I mentioned earlier. One of the main things we found is most vandalism starts from people feeling like they got ripped off. And so it's one thing to run a very efficient wash and making sure your equipment is all running and being properly maintained, because that is a big area where people start with their vandalism. They feel like they got taken advantage of or they got ripped off, and now all of a sudden they have a reason to start going after you, a reason to start vandalizing the equipment and feeling revenge, if they so can, by destroying property. So as we look here, you know, again, we just mentioned this, the vandalism side, but as we discover some of the different causes of problems that arise, you know, it comes down to customer equipment. A cause of a problem is your changer working properly, right? Some of these different areas of reason for these vandalism moments to start. Okay, so again, I mentioned the benefits of the remote monitoring. So one of the neat things about many of these video surveillance systems today is you have the ability to remote monitor. Watch it from your phone, watch from a tablet or a computer, home office, really anywhere you are. Again, it can help you in the long run because, number one, if there's an issue, you can obviously go back and see what's going on, but also the management side. We've had a lot of different scenarios at our wash here in Salt Lake where, because of these cameras, we've been able to monitor what's going on at the car wash. We can see how busy it is. We can see if the bays are clean, if equipment's working properly. You know, in the wintertime, is the lot clean and plowed, lights on at night, dumpster locked and emptied. When was, you know, the help there? Cut down on the checkout, the wash trips. So you're going to be able to save yourself time, energy, and money because you can keep an eye. As you can see in this picture, this is actually an issue we had with the sump backing up. We were able to catch it on video and then go down and take care of the problem, where chances are, you know, if we didn't see that on video, it would have been later that night when somebody was going down to clean it that the problem would have been found. And so there's a lot of elements here with video that can help keep your maintenance, you know, in check and being able to stay on top of things. Now, one thing to note too, though, is having a video surveillance system won't necessarily catch or stop all of your problems, but it will be an effective tool to help limit problems and help manage and protect your wash. So again, it might not catch everything, every issue, but it's going to be there to really help assist you in having, you know, a properly running wash, making sure that problems are managed, making sure everything is taken care of the way that it needs to. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here and start talking about some of the different systems that are available on the market. So first, we've got the IP systems. Now, when it comes to IP, basically it's a system that's run over networked Cat5 or 6 cable, runs over Ethernet. Each individual camera operates independently. Now, there's different types, right? You've got the NVR network video recorder, the Cat5 or Cat6, Cat5 or Cat6 cable Ethernet, or the IP networked cameras. Now, some of the pros to this: you can network larger systems over 32 cameras. The power over Ethernet, which is nice too, so you don't have to run an independent power cable because your power's run through that Ethernet. The cons, however, each camera has an IP address and everything is networked. So if you have a great knowledge of networking, good for you. If you don't, if you have a power outage or some type of issue when it comes to power, your entire system goes down, chances are those IPs may change and you're going to have to go in and independently update each IP on each camera. So it can cause a lot of issues in that way. It's also proprietary formats, so different formatting makes it a little bit difficult to view or download the video feed from those cameras. The other side too is they are much more expensive. It's a more expensive camera, leading to more cost in the system. Now, when it comes to analog HD, you know, we think of analog and we think all the old school TVs. Well, guess what? That's not really the case anymore. You know, many of the TV formats run in 1080p, 4K, and basically what this analog system looks like is you have your DVR, so your digital video recorder, and that's stationed somewhere, probably in your equipment room, somewhere safe. And then you have coax lines that are home run from the camera to the actual system, along with, you know, in that coax cable, you've got your power end and then obviously your video feed. Some of the formats that are supported, you have AHD, TVI, CVI, EXSDI, SDI, CVBS, high-res. You know, these are all high-res formats. Current resolutions supported. You know, a lot of what we focus on now is, again, this 1080p, 2 megapixel, 4 megapixel, 5 megapixel, 4K, CVBS analog, and then they're done in the H.265 compression. Now, the pros to this analog HD system. Number one, you've got better compatibility. You can use existing coax cable. So if you currently have a system in place now, you can use that existing coax cable, which is really, really nice. It's less expensive. It's an easier setup. You don't have to have a knowledge of networking because everything is plug and play, and you can use existing high-res analog cameras. So again, really nice, a lot of benefits there. The con is it's limited to 32 channel systems. However, if you're going to put, you know, a 32 channel system in a wash to cover that much area, you could always just do 2 DVR systems, and you'd still probably be money ahead because the cost is so much less at that point than going with an IP system. When it comes to cameras, there are a few different cameras that are out there on the market and that we offer through CleanRight. And some of these consist of the eyeball domes, the bullet camera, the board cameras, the door view cameras, and the box cameras. We're seeing most of our customers go with the eyeball dome camera. Honestly, this is my favorite camera because of the nature of the vandal-proof housing, the ability to be as waterproof as it really can get when it comes to having a camera. You've got wide angle lenses, motorized zoom and autofocus, and the night vision is absolutely phenomenal with these cameras. It's also a really clean, sleek looking camera, and they're very, very easy to install. I'll show you here down in a few slides what the install looks like on these. So the next is the bullet camera. Again, we have these. They're great cameras. They work really well for certain applications. However, when it comes to the vandal side, those domes are much more difficult to rip off the wall than something like this. So certain applications, it makes sense to have these bullet cameras. In other situations, you know, again, those vandal domes are the way to go. So some of the benefits of these: great license plate cameras, self-contained waterproof housing, smaller lipstick camera size, as you can see the little black one in the corner. Less secure mount. Again, it is a much easier mounting system, so somebody could just walk up and rip it off. These board cameras, they're great indoor cameras. They are very small, so it's the covert, undercover type camera, if you will. Again, indoor application only. And so, you know, again, it's a good camera, but like I say, the favorite that we have and a lot of the customers that we work with is that eyeball dome camera. Now, the next question you may have is where to start. Well, first of all, we got to decide what you want to see, figure out what the camera placement looks like, what your DVR placement looks like, and then we can draft up a plan as to what you know, your layout will look like. So if we take a look here at this is the layout of our car wash here in Utah. Should show up here. Perfect. So this is the layout of our wash here in Utah. We've got a 5-bay, and the equipment room here's in the middle, and then you've got your vac islands on the left. And so, you know, this is again where we're going to start. We're going to have a picture of the full layout and really what we want to see, and then from there we can move into the application and creating and drafting a plan. So this next slide I'm going to show you is an in-depth view of where our cameras are placed and what range of view that they see. So if you can see on the bottom, you've got the color code and then the dots around the building and also you know, pointing at the vac island. So all of these cameras are set up on the car wash, on the structure itself. And then the color codes, you know, are the type of camera that it is and what it does. So first of all, you got the red dots are the bay cameras. So we've got 5 of those. They're the TW200 ESL. We've got the lot camera. So basically just covering the front and back of the lot, and then also over towards the dumpster and then the front entrance. You've got the changer camera, the TW2004 XESL, and that is just, you know, over the changer looking down. The license plate cameras, again, you know, you might wonder, well, why do you have, you know, license plate cameras if you can catch such a great picture in the bay? Well, sometimes people drive through and you miss. So again, it's just a first, second, third approach to making sure you capture a license plate of every vehicle that goes through. Then the vendors, you know, we've got the 2004 XESL, and the equipment room inside is just a TW200 ESL. So you can see the different lines and the placements and what they cover. You know, we've got the back of the lot there. There's a narrow strip where people come out of the bays. They go over the speed bump and out. So we capture from 2 points of reference with license plate cameras there. We've got the blue lot camera there that covers the wide focal range, covering the vac islands and out towards the dumpster, your front view. So pretty much everything is covered. So we're going to design a plan like this once you say, hey, I'm ready to get going with cameras. So let's take a look at some of the quality here on what these cameras look like inside the bays and what we can do for your wash. So again, here's a great picture inside the bay. You can read that plate very well, see what's happening. You can see the clock on the timer. You can see your card reader and also the switch for change and your rotation of soaps and gun valves. Anyway, you can see everything inside this picture here. Very clear, very nice. Again, here's another bay, a little bit different type of camera, much clearer picture. Again, license plates covered, timers covered, everything is covered that you need to see. You can even see all the signage up on the wall. Again, license plate covered. See what's happening in the bay. I mean, the angles are great. The quality is fantastic, and it really makes it a lot better when it comes to being able to view your wash firsthand. Okay, we come to our front of the wash here at the changer. This camera's right above the door. You got the side view, and then you have the top view. And you can see the quality there. You can see David Edmonds on his shirt. In this next overhead view, okay, so again, another overhead shot of the changers. Come into the vendors, front of the wash and that front entrance. If they have a front plate, you'd be able to catch it here as well. Then we've got the rear view. Again, that narrow strip at the back. This is one just pointing out of the bays. This will catch the license plate basically for the first two, and then we've got that other camera for the end segments. Next camera angle is our vac islands. And as you can see, pointing off the corner of the wash, we cover pretty much the entire lot with that camera. You can see what's happening at each vac island and can keep track again on even the flow of traffic and if there's any issues or problems. Next view here is, these next two views here are also entrance views. See them coming in off of State Street. Something to notice too here, again, being able to capture the full lot view, being able to keep the garbage situation under control too. I mean, these cameras definitely have the quality enough to be able to zoom in and see garbage around the lot. And I'm not sure about some of the other operators, but one of the things that we've noticed really heavily is, again, the more the equipment works, the cleaner the car wash is, the cleaner the lot is. It just adds a lot more value and benefit. We have customers that come from all over to visit our wash just because they know that things are going to work properly. So our next view here is the second back angle license plate camera. So again, you can see that plate really well as that guy's going out. Next view is in the equipment room facing the changers and the door. That's in the dark, by the way, so there's not really a whole lot of light. You can see the little light there that's on under the TV, but this is in the dark, and so this night vision aspect of this camera really kicks in, and you can see a great picture. Next view here is just the full 16 channel system, so you can see all pictures of the camera itself. Now let's take a little bit of a look here at the mounting and what the mounting of these cameras actually looks like. So again, when it comes to mounting, you want to be able to mount these in a way that's going to cover your widest point of view, but also in a spot that, you know, is up high. And obviously, again, these things are waterproof, but at the same time, you know, the more protected they can be, the longer they're going to last, the longer they're going to hold up. They will do well under the elements and circumstances, though. So see some of the different angles into how these things are mounted. Again, these domes are really easy to mount. I've got a slide coming up here that shows how you mount them. Next one here is one of the bullet style cameras, one of the license plate cameras. Up close view of another dome. And then we have the two domes above the changers. And we've had, you know, a few people ask, well, aren't you worried about those being too low, being that they're just overhead there above the changers? But, you know, we haven't, luckily at this point, we haven't had any issues yet here at R-Wash. We've heard of some people having some issues, but again, the mounting process with these domes, those things are pretty solid. Takes a lot to get them off. And, you know, again, hopefully this will just deter anybody in the first place from doing anything dumb. Now, the people that are going to do stuff that's dumb, they're probably going to do it anyway, but at least this way you can capture them and hopefully bring some sort of resolve or justice to the situation. Very good. So now let's jump into the setup and the installation side of this. This system is very easy to set up and install. Really the only thing to consider is power outlets, airflow, water protection, space for a monitor. When it comes to monitors, there are fantastic deals out there for 27 to 30 inch monitors, especially with, you know, coming into the Christmas season and Black Friday and things like that. You can probably get a great 4K monitor for, you know, $120 or something like that. So definitely, you know, worthwhile to pick something like that up. Your cables, again, are all home run to the DVR. So your coax runs from the DVR to the camera, and then a spot for mounting the camera power supply box. So the cameras run off their own power supply, and then that coax runs, the coax video feed runs into the DVR itself. Again, let's take a look here at the mounting of the Vandal Dome camera, the eyeball camera. As you can see here in the middle picture, that's the base plate. So basically what you do is you line that up, figure out where you want to put it, and you screw that into, you know, wherever you're going to mount it. So the side, the wall, or ceiling, or wherever you're putting it. And then the cable just runs through the back of it. And then, you know, your line goes to your coax. The eyeball just sits right on that mount. And then you've got the two rings that go over the top that secure the dome in place. And very simple to install and very secure once it's up. Cable runs, when it comes to the coax, that you know, really the things again we're looking at here, you're going to have your power ends. We mentioned before that having these coax, you can use old cameras. The one recommendation we make is to redo the power ends. Sometimes you can have some corrosion or things that get in there, so redo that red and black wire for your power ends and just put a new connector on. But basically the process here is you just install the BNC end and the power ends, mount the power supply box, connect all the cameras to the power supply and DVR, and then connect the monitor to the DVR, and then you're up and running. So pretty straightforward process. You can see in the pictures and the diagrams. Again, you cut your little ends off and plug it right into the power supply, and again put your coax or your power male adapter end in here and put your crimp on, and you're ready to go. Okay, some of the common questions that we have when it comes to these systems is first, again, can I use my existing coax cable? Yes, absolutely. But again, we would recommend re-terminate those power ends just because, sometimes you can get some corrosion and some different things in there. What kind of monitor do I need? Any computer monitor or TV monitor capable of 1080p. Again, like I mentioned, with some of the different sales and things coming up here, just time of season, you can probably get a great 4K monitor for fairly inexpensive, probably about $120 or so. You have either VGA or HDMI plug, and find the one size, resolution, and price you like. Do I need an electrical protection for the DVR? So one of the things that this comes down to, we really would recommend having at least a surge suppressor, surge protector, but the battery backups are definitely ideal, and even running your modem, and so basically the DVR, the modem, and anything that ties directly to that feed is not a bad idea to put into the battery backup. For example, if power goes out, again, that modem will keep on. It'll keep your IP for the DVR status, and you should be able to have a better resolution if there were a situation to arise that way. Can I view this on my smartphone and computer? Yes. We use the app Mr. Patrol for phones and tablets. There is a CMS software is best to view from the computer side, both Windows and Apple, and then web browser, i.e. Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. How many days will a DVR record? Okay, so here's the kicker to this now. There's lots of different options available, and it just depends on spacing, but that new H.265 format really compresses the file. And so what we're seeing on a 16-channel system is you can get, with a 6 terabyte hard drive, you can get 30 to 45 days. In reality, that's probably a little bit longer than that 30 to 45 days, again, with that new compression on the H.265. But you can also add larger hard drives in as well. And so, really the sky is potentially the limit there, but, we'll call it the minimum is 30 to 45 days and then up, depending on how many hard drives you have in there, and with that new formatting, what that looks like. What kind of backup device can I use? Great question. So basically, this is when you're recording the format from that video feed. So if you need to save it and take that video and go show, the police department, or keep it on file, or whatever the case is, USB drive, EXE, or an AVI format. I even did, a little workaround too. If you're having some issues, you could always, drop it into an MP4, do a screen record. Lots of different options there available, but this straight native is a USB drive and an EXE or a AVI file. What do I need to get my video on my smartphone? Super easy, straightforward. It's just changing the ports, port forward ports to 80 and 8000 to the DVR. Common problems, usually that comes down to connector issues. So again, something with that BNC end on the coax, or the power from that male termination. Camera power issues. One of the things that can offset with some interference is high voltage power lines. If you've got some high voltage, you may see some static or something in your video feed, and it's probably because you've got some interference there. Again, waterproof. These connections are waterproof, but again, if water gets in there and starts to corrode, it can cause some issues. So one of the recommendations we make is just, if it's in a high water area, especially around a tunnel or just somewhere where it's constantly getting wet, then you can use some rescue tape. You can find that on Amazon to just wrap those ends. Do I need motion cameras to record motion? The answer to that's no. The DVR recognizes the motion. DVR needs to be set to motion and area defined by the operator. So again, these are a lot of the common questions that we have when people are using these systems. If there's any questions, I can take those now. This is my contact information. Again, my name's Dave Deal. This is my phone number, and then Dave at Turbo DVR for any questions that you may have. So thank you so much for the time, and what questions are there?
You can hear me? I used the key that you sent over this morning, yes. I just re-inputted it to make sure. Oh, you got it? Ah, there we are. Okay, I see that it's working now. Ah, there we are. Okay, I see that it's working now. Ah, there we are. Okay, I see that it's working now. All right, cool. So I'm Max from Everwash. I am not delivering the actual presentation. I'm just running the tech from the background. So I am just going to do a quick run through the slides that we have thus far and make sure this works well. For our presentation, we're going to be talking about the 5 keys to a highly profitable membership program at IBA locations. Our speaker will be Scott Pashley and Richard DeGennaro from our team. And without further ado, I'm going to get into our presentation. So here we are, our presentation, 5 keys to highly profitable membership at IBA locations. We're going to be talking about a number of things today, including leveraging your technologies at your wash, meaning using all available technologies and systems to your advantage. That includes the Everwash mobile app and our WashX license plate analytics program. In addition to leveraging your technology, we want to make sure that you are implementing smart marketing techniques and tips here at your location. How are you reaching all of your potential customers? Are you doing it in a smart, well thought out way? The things that we are going to overview in our presentation include our OpSpot text messaging program, in addition to some of our new smart signage programs that implement different experiential-based marketing ideas and philosophies. The next thing we're going to review is the importance of sell, sell, sell on-site. Nothing replaces good on-site sales help and a well-delivered sales pitch. Whether you're at a tunnel or an IBA, on-site sales attendants are key to driving success, especially in the early days of running your membership program. That means finding the right person delivering the right pitch at the right time. Everwash's sales tools will help you do that. In addition to the various labor insights you will be getting from our WashX license plate analytics system. We want to help you understand your close ratio, so you understand how much money you're leaving on the table anytime someone comes through and doesn't sign up, or rather anytime an attendant delivers a sales pitch or does not deliver a sales pitch to a particular customer. We want you to understand this close ratio so you can find out who your best salespeople are and how to incentivize your salespeople who maybe aren't carrying the load as much. Piggybacking off of that, we're going to discuss the different carrots you can dangle in front of your sales staff and the various commissions and incentivization programs that Everwash has in place for our wash partners. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the contactless experience, adapting your membership program to the new normal. This is especially important at IBAs, unmanned washes that have pay stations. With the Everwash system, we're no longer going to have your members touching anything ever again. They'll be able to activate everything remotely by use of QR codes and their own mobile phone. No need to exchange cash or credit cards any longer. Everything can be handled contactlessly directly through the Everwash app. The contactless app experience will kind of go a little bit deeper into everything I was just mentioning here at the top of this slide, in addition to describing our new wireless payment swipers that we're going to be unveiling to our wash partners in the coming months here. Oh, there was one more point we had to make, and that is the importance of maintaining and upgrading your wash, keeping your operation running smooth at all times. We're going to be talking about the importance of preventive maintenance as it relates to increased volumes with a membership program running on all cylinders. We're also going to be describing the importance of keeping on the cutting edge and upgrading your wash system. As you bring in new revenues through your membership program, you're going to want to reinvest some of those revenues into your equipment, into your wash, into your staff, to always stay on the cutting edge and always improving upon your wash services. Communication is key when without anything involving your program, especially when you're doing preventive or upgrading maintenance at your wash. The EverWash platform allows you to constantly keep your members in close communication with you and your brand, so you can let them know if you have any upcoming upgrades coming your way, any upcoming disturbances in your service, whether it's any breaks or necessary upgrades that need to be done. Communication is key, and EverWash helps you achieve all those important things. We're going to put a quote here as it relates to how we helped a few partners mitigate the whole COVID crisis and help their sales actually increase during this very unprecedented time. This is going to be our contact page, so that way folks know how to get in touch with our key speakers during the presentation. And then we'll have one more slide here that I've yet to add in that describes, just kind of recaps the presentation really quick. So I know we want to do a dry run today, but this is what we got done so far. I'm sitting down with our speakers to, obviously add lots of graphics to this presentation and get their talking points set. So that way we'll be ready to roll about a month from here for the actual event. So that's all I've got, Ron. I'm going to end my stream now, and we'll go back to the chat if there was anything that you wanted to add here. Thanks for your time.